Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The Council tried to extort humanity. Humanity's reply shook the galaxy. The Galactic Council had ruled for centuries, their dominance uncontested. Planets bowed before them, paying tributes to secure peace and order. They wielded fear like a weapon, silencing dissent with their fleets and advanced technology. But Earth was new to the galactic stage, freshly united, having clawed its way out of centuries of war, poverty, and environmental collapse. When humanity finally reached the stars, they didn't find allies, they found rulers. It wasn't long after Earth's formal introduction to the Council that the demands began. A representative, tall and slender with luminous skin and piercing violet eyes, appeared on every screen across Earth. His name was Ambassador Ver, a proud envoy of the Thraxis Dominion, and he spoke with a condescending calmness that immediately set the world on edge. To secure your place within the Galactic Council, he declared you must offer tribute. 10% of your planetary resources annually and your most advanced technologies will suffice as a sign of allegiance. Refusal will be interpreted as defiance. The United Earth government, hastily assembled to face the new reality, convened immediately. Inside the council chamber, men and women argued and shouted, disbelief washing over them like a tide. "What do they mean, tribute?" shouted President Evelyn Clark, her fists clenched on the table. "We just got out of a global crisis. We barely have enough to sustain ourselves." General Marcus Hayes slammed his fist down, his rugged face twisted in anger. "They're extorting us. They see us as weak, ripe for exploitation. Typical bullies." A young scientist, Dr. Aaron Vasquez, adjusted his glasses nervously. "We've seen their ships, their weapons. If they attack, we won't stand a chance. We're technologically outmatched by at least 1,000 years." Evelyn exhaled slowly, fighting down the rising frustration. "Then we have to be smarter. If they're underestimating us, we can use that. We need to send them a reply, one that makes it clear we're not puppets." The reply was broadcast a day later. President Clark's face, calm and resolute, appeared on every screen across Earth and the wider galaxy. Her words were simple but firm. Humanity does not kneel. We will not pay tribute. We are willing to negotiate as equals, but we will not be subjugated. Any hostile action will be met with resistance. Ambassador Ver appeared shortly after, his tone dripping with contempt. "You misunderstand your position. This is not a negotiation. Prepare to be pacified." As the transmission cut, panic rippled through the public, but in the council chamber, Evelyn remained composed. "They'll come to make an example of us. We have to be ready." General Hayes nodded grimly. "We'll give them a fight they'll never forget." Across Earth, preparations began. Scientists worked tirelessly to enhance their fledgling space fleet. Engineers fortified planetary defenses, and strategists planned guerrilla tactics in space. Humanity knew it couldn't match the Council's strength head-on, but they didn't need to win. They just needed to make the cost too high. The Council dispatched a small fleet to teach Earth a lesson, confident that their superior firepower would crush the upstart species. As the Armada approached, sensors lit up with the unmistakable signatures of alien dreadnoughts and fighters, but Earth had a plan. The first wave of Council ships met a barrage of electromagnetic pulses, scrambling their systems and leaving them drifting helplessly. Then came the drone swarms, tiny, fast-moving, packed with explosives, ripping through the Council's weakened formation. In desperation, the Council sent ground forces, convinced that mere humans couldn't withstand their genetically enhanced warriors. They were wrong. Earth's soldiers, hardened by decades of brutal urban warfare and survival, fought like demons, ambushing and outmaneuvering the alien troops. Cities turned into death traps where every building, alleyway, and rooftop became a battlefield. When the smoke cleared, the Council's forces were in disarray. Their pride had cost them dearly, and their arrogance had blinded them to the tenacity of a species that had fought itself to the brink of extinction and survived. From the ashes of battle, humanity sent a final message to the galaxy. "We do not fear you. We do not bow. We are human, and we will not be broken." In the Galactic Council Hall, Ambassador Ver could only seethe with barely contained fury as messages poured in from across the galaxy. Worlds oppressed for centuries by Council rule, now buzzing with newfound hope. Humanity's defiance had sparked a fire that would not be easily extinguished. In that moment, the balance of power shifted, and the galaxy began to change forever. The aftermath of the battle left Earth shaken but triumphant. People poured into the streets, celebrating their unexpected victory. News channels replayed footage of the council ships plummeting from the sky, and the internet buzzed with stories of brave soldiers and ingenious engineers who had made the victory possible. President Clark, however, remained tense. In the council chamber, she convened an urgent meeting with General Hayes and Dr. Vasquez. "They'll be back," she said flatly, her face stern despite the triumph all around. "That was just a probing attack. We humiliated them. They can't let that stand." General Hayes grunted in agreement. "They'll come with their full might next time. We need to be prepared to defend not just Earth, but the entire solar system." Dr. Vasquez leaned forward, tapping his tablet nervously. "I've been analyzing the data from the wreckage. Their technology is advanced but surprisingly rigid. They didn't expect our adaptability or unconventional tactics. That's our advantage. If we can reverse engineer some of their systems, we might stand a better chance." Evelyn nodded. "Do it. Put every available scientist on it. We have to learn everything we can before they regroup." A sense of urgency gripped the planet. Factories roared to life, churning out ships and weapons around the clock. Brilliant minds gathered in makeshift labs, poring over alien tech, desperate to crack its secrets. The people of Earth didn't sleep much during those weeks, and neither did their leaders. As the pressure mounted, whispers began to spread among the populace, fears that the Council's retaliation would be cataclysmic. Conspiracy theories swirled, claiming that humanity's defiance had signed their death warrant. Evelyn knew she had to address the growing fear before it unraveled their fragile unity. Standing before the cameras once more, she spoke directly to the people. "We did not choose this fight. We were threatened and told to kneel, and we refused. Yes, the danger is real, but we will not surrender our freedom or our dignity to fear. We are human. We endure, we innovate, and most importantly, we stand together." The speech resonated across the world, rekindling the determination of a species that had faced annihilation before and survived. Meanwhile, deep in space, the Galactic Council was reeling from the humiliation. In the Grand Chamber, the ruling members argued furiously. Ambassador Ver, his pride bruised and reputation tarnished, struggled to maintain his composure as others demanded answers. "How did a primitive species outmaneuver our elite forces?" shouted Lord Krax, a monstrous being with shimmering scales and a voice like grinding stone. "This disgrace stains us all." Ver's jaw clenched. "We underestimated them. Their resourcefulness caught us off guard. But rest assured, I have initiated a full-scale retaliation. We will wipe them from existence and make an example of them." From the shadows of the council chamber, a new voice interjected, a calculating tone that sent shivers through the room. "Are you certain that erasing them is the wisest course?" The speaker was Minister Zorth, a cunning strategist whose influence spread like a web across the council. He stepped forward, his pale, segmented face twitching with intrigue. "The humans have demonstrated a peculiar trait, an unyielding spirit that turns adversity into advantage. If we crush them, they become martyrs. But if we subdue them through cunning and assimilation, their resistance will falter." Ver hesitated, knowing Zorth's reputation for ruthlessness and manipulation. "What do you propose?" "Subversion," Zorth purred. "Offer them peace. Dangle the illusion of cooperation while we infiltrate and destabilize their leadership. We'll fracture their unity from within, turning them against one another. When they crumble, we'll absorb what remains without expending unnecessary resources." The council murmured in agreement, some impressed by the devious plan, others wary of its complexity. Ver forced himself to nod, hiding his distaste for Zorth's methods. "Very well. Let us see if these humans are as clever as they believe." Back on Earth, as preparations continued, reports arrived of an incoming message from the council, this time far more diplomatic in tone. Evelyn and her team gathered to listen as Ambassador Ver's image appeared on the screen. "People of Earth," he began, his voice strained but polite, "the Galactic Council acknowledges your spirit and determination. We extend an offer of peace. Join us as allies, share your knowledge, and prosper alongside the galaxy. Hostilities are unnecessary when unity can be achieved." The room fell silent, disbelief etched on every face. General Hayes scoffed. "That snake is lying through his teeth. They don't want peace. They want submission." Evelyn narrowed her eyes. "They've changed their approach. They think they can manipulate us now that brute force failed." Dr. Vasquez interjected cautiously. "If they're serious about peace, we should at least consider hearing them out. We can't survive a full-scale war." Evelyn remained thoughtful. If they're offering peace, we'll listen, but we won't be blind to their intentions. Set up a secure channel and prepare for negotiations. Let's see just how genuine their offer really is. Across the galaxy, tensions simmered. Humanity's defiance had sparked not just outrage but a sense of admiration among oppressed worlds. Secret messages began arriving from other planets, hints of rebellion brewing in the shadows. And as Earth braced for whatever came next, the galaxy watched with bated breath, unsure whether humanity's fierce independence would ignite a revolution or lead to their destruction. The secure channel was established, and President Clark sat before the screen in the council chamber, her face calm and unreadable. General Hayes stood beside her, his jaw clenched, while Dr. Vasquez monitored the transmission, ready to intercept any potential data leaks or cyber intrusions. Ambassador Ver's image flickered to life, this time his demeanor more controlled, almost respectful, though his eyes still held that familiar glint of superiority. President Clark, he began smoothly, I must commend your people's resolve. It is rare for a newly integrated species to display such formidable spirit. The Galactic Council has taken notice, and as a gesture of goodwill, we propose a formal alliance rather than continued hostility. Evelyn raised an eyebrow, keeping her tone measured. An alliance built on coercion and threats isn't an alliance. It's subjugation. We're not interested in being vassals. Ver nodded slowly, as if conceding the point. Perhaps our initial approach was too forceful. The Council wishes to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. If Earth agrees to certain terms of cooperation, technology sharing and resource contributions, we can guarantee your world's protection and inclusion in galactic trade. General Hayes couldn't help but scoff. Protection? You mean extortion with a shiny label? Evelyn shot him a glance to hold his tongue and focused on Ver. What specific terms are you proposing? Ver's lips curled into a practiced smile. A minimal annual tribute, 5% of planetary resources. In return, the Council will assist with technological advancements and integrate Earth into our vast trade network. Your people will prosper beyond imagination. There it was, the hook wrapped in false promises. Evelyn knew it wasn't about prosperity. It was about control. She kept her face neutral, giving nothing away. We will consider your proposal, she replied evenly. But before any decisions are made, I would like to speak directly to the Council representatives. If you truly seek peaceful cooperation, there should be no objection. Ver hesitated, caught off guard by the unexpected demand. The Council does not typically grant direct audiences to developing species. Evelyn leaned forward, her gaze unyielding. If we're to be allies, it starts with mutual respect. Arrange the meeting, or there is no deal. Ver's face twitched, irritation slipping through his diplomatic mask. Very well, I will make the arrangements. Expect communication within the next solar cycle. As the transmission ended, Evelyn turned to Hayes and Vasquez. Her expression hardened. They're trying to wrap us in a pretty lie while keeping the leash tight. We can't fall for it. Hayes grunted in agreement. Let me guess. While they're talking peace, they're probably mobilizing a bigger fleet behind the scenes. Vasquez tapped his screen, displaying intercepted signals and encrypted data packets. I think you're right. We've picked up strange transmissions between their fleets and nearby systems. Something big is being organized. I bet they're not just trying to subdue us. They're preparing for total occupation. Evelyn clenched her fists. They're playing both sides, pretending to negotiate while getting ready to crush us. We have to buy time and make them think we're considering their offer. Meanwhile, we'll ramp up our defenses and finalize the reverse engineering projects. The council chamber buzzed with controlled chaos as orders were given. Scientists intensified their efforts to decode alien tech, working around the clock to develop hybrid systems, melding human ingenuity with the advanced alien designs. New fighter prototypes emerged, sleek and deadly, equipped with repurposed council shielding and weaponry. As the preparations continued, whispers of rebellion grew across the galaxy. On distant worlds, messages trickled in, coded transmissions from resistance cells, and dissidents inspired by Earth's defiance. One such message came from a planet called Valera, a harsh mining colony notorious for brutal council oversight. This is Commander Draven of the Vin Resistance. The message crackled through the speakers, the voice rough and determined. Your stand against the council has given us hope. We are prepared to strike at their supply lines, but we lack the firepower. If Earth aids us, we can cripple their logistics and buy you time. General Hayes looked at Evelyn, his eyes fierce with determination. If they're willing to fight, we should help them. An uprising in their backyard would force the council to divide their attention. Evelyn considered it carefully. We can't afford to spread ourselves too thin, but if we share what we've learned about disabling their systems, they might have a fighting chance without us risking our own forces. Hayes nodded. Agreed. We'll send them the data and a few tactical suggestions. If they hit hard and fast, it'll cause chaos. The reply to Valera was sent, and the waiting game began. Evelyn knew the council was growing impatient, but she needed every second to strengthen Earth's defenses. Public morale remained high, but beneath the surface, tension simmered. People knew they were living on borrowed time. One evening, as Evelyn looked out over the city from her office, Vasquez approached with a grim expression. Ma'am, we've detected a new fleet moving toward our system, 5 times larger than the previous one. They're coming for us. Evelyn nodded, determination hardening her resolve. Then we make them regret it. Activate all defensive measures. Mobilize the fleet. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity doesn't just survive. We fight. As the skies darkened with looming alien ships, Earth's unified forces prepared to make their stand. From every corner of the globe, soldiers steeled themselves for battle. Engineers fortified defenses, and civilians whispered prayers in the silence before the storm. Evelyn addressed the planet one more time. They're coming to break us because they fear our spirit. But remember this, we didn't choose this war. They did. And if they think Earth will fall quietly, they're about to learn the hard way. Humanity never surrenders. The roar of defiant cheers echoed through the city streets as humanity braced itself for the ultimate test, one that would determine not only their fate, but the fate of a galaxy yearning to be free. The sky above Earth burned with the glow of incoming ships, their sleek, predatory forms blocking out the stars. The Galactic Council's main assault fleet had arrived. Massive dreadnoughts surrounded by swarms of fighters and sleek warships. At their head was the Obsidian Wrath, Ver's personal flagship, a looming monstrosity bristling with weapons capable of obliterating cities from orbit. In the command center of Earth's primary defense base, Evelyn Clark stood at the center of controlled chaos. Screens flickered with tactical data, and anxious voices filled the air as officers coordinated defense strategies. General Hayes was barking orders, his face a mask of grim determination, while Dr. Vasquez furiously analyzed energy signatures from the alien ships. They're forming a blockade, Hayes reported. They'll try to isolate us before launching ground assaults. Evelyn nodded, her expression calm but intense. We can't let them pin us down. Are the orbital mines deployed? Yes, ma'am, Hayes confirmed. Once they hit the inner perimeter, we'll detonate. It won't destroy the dreadnoughts, but it'll cripple their fighter screens. Vasquez interrupted, eyes fixed on his data. Ma'am, I've been analyzing their energy patterns. I think they're using a centralized power relay for their shielding, a weakness. If we hit the relay with a concentrated burst, it could bring down the entire defensive grid. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Can you pinpoint it? Vasquez brought up a schematic, highlighting a central node buried within the flagship. It's heavily protected, but a precise strike could do it. We'd need to get a ship in close. Suicide run. General Hayes grunted. I'll find a pilot, someone who's willing. Evelyn shook her head. No, we can't ask anyone to make that sacrifice. We'll rig one of the drones for remote control. Get the engineering team on it now. As preparations unfolded, Ver's voice crackled through the speakers, his tone dripping with superiority. People of Earth, he announced, you've demonstrated defiance, and for that, I'd offer one final chance to surrender. Kneel and your cities will be spared. Resist and you will burn. Evelyn stepped forward, her face appearing on the broadcast. Ambassador Ver, your threats don't frighten us. You came to conquer and found a people who refuse to be broken. If you want Earth, you'll have to take it by force, and you'll pay in blood. The connection cut abruptly, and Ver seethed on his flagship's bridge, surrounded by officers too afraid to speak. Send the first wave, he hissed. Level their defenses. From the fleet, fighter squadrons poured forth, racing toward Earth's orbit. Automated turrets lit up the sky, blasting away at the incoming ships. Some fighters broke through, strafing orbital platforms and targeting satellites, but the mines activated, detonating in a fiery cascade that tore through their ranks. Earth's own fleet surged forward, ragtag but fierce. Retrofit ships with human ingenuity woven through alien designs. They moved unpredictably, weaving and spiraling, exploiting the rigid, formation-bound tactics of the Council. The hybrid fighters, nimble and vicious, ripped into the enemy's flanks, leaving the council commanders scrambling to adapt. On board the Obsidian Wrath, Ver seethed as reports came in. Why are they holding us back? This should have been over by now. A subordinate bowed his head. Their tactics are unconventional. They're not engaging directly. They're using hit-and-run methods in targeting our smaller vessels. Ver bared his teeth. Fools. Deploy the siege cannons. Burn their capital to the ground. The massive dreadnought's cannons glowed ominously, charging with a low hum that vibrated through the air. On Earth, sensors screamed with warnings. Hayes shouted, "They're targeting the city. If those cannons fire, we're finished." Evelyn turned to Vasquez, her voice sharp. "Is the drone ready?" He nodded, sweat beading on his forehead. "We've integrated the targeting AI and loaded the disruptor charge. It's programmed to dive straight for the power relay." "Launch it," Evelyn ordered. "Pray it hits the mark." The drone shot forward, weaving through the chaos. Council fighters tried to intercept, but Earth's own squadrons covered it, sacrificing themselves to clear the path. The drone streaked through the flagship's defenses, dodging laser fire with programmed precision. On the flagship's bridge, Ver realized too late what was happening. Destroy it now. But the drone had already breached the hull, hurtling through corridors before detonating right at the power relay. A blinding pulse shot through the ship, and the shield grid collapsed, leaving the dreadnought vulnerable. "Now's our chance," Hayes barked. "All ships, concentrate fire on the flagship." Earth's fleet opened up with everything they had, unleashing railguns, plasma lances, and explosive payloads. The flagship shuddered as explosions tore through its hull, fire blooming from ruptured compartments. Ver gripped his command console, fury and disbelief mixing on his face. Impossible. Defeated by primitives. As the dreadnought broke apart, Earth's forces pressed the attack, exploiting the confusion to tear through the remaining council ships. One by one, the once invincible fleet crumbled under the relentless assault. When the final ship retreated, humanity stood victorious once more, battered but unbowed. Across the planet, celebrations erupted, but in the command center, Evelyn remained sober. "This isn't over," she whispered. "They'll send more. They'll never accept this humiliation." Hayes approached, his expression fierce. "Then we keep fighting. We've shown them that humanity doesn't break. Maybe they'll think twice before underestimating us again." Vasquez smiled weakly, exhausted but triumphant. "We're more than just survivors now. We're a force to be reckoned with." As the galaxy reeled from the news of the Council's crushing defeat, messages from other worlds flooded in, offers of alliance, declarations of rebellion, and gratitude from countless species who had long suffered under the Council's boot. Evelyn knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had drawn a line in the stars and challenged the might of an empire, and somewhere in the vastness of space, new allies and old enemies watched and waited, wondering whether Earth's fierce spirit might be the spark that changed the galaxy forever. In the days following the battle, Earth found itself at the center of galactic upheaval. The news of the Council's defeat spread like wildfire, igniting resistance movements on dozens of planets. Once subjugated species rose up, striking at local Council garrisons, sabotaging supply lines, and broadcasting messages of rebellion. Humanity's stand had become a beacon of hope, a rallying cry for the oppressed. Inside the command center, President Clark, General Hayes, and Dr. Vasquez were busy planning their next move. Maps and holograms displayed regions of space now in open revolt, marked by red flares of conflict. Hayes gestured to one of the hotspots. "Valera's uprising was successful. They've taken control of the mining colonies and cut off one of the main resource routes to the Council's central systems. They're requesting guidance on fortifying their defenses." Evelyn nodded. "Send them our analysis and suggestions. They need to be prepared for retaliation." "What about the other rebel groups?" Vasquez swiped through his tablet, displaying more reports. "Several systems are broadcasting messages of independence, but without coordination, they're vulnerable. If the Council regroups, they'll crush these uprisings one by one." Hayes frowned. "We need a unified front. If we can form an alliance, share tactics and resources, we might actually have a shot at breaking the Council's hold for good." Evelyn thought carefully. "If we're going to lead a coalition, we'll need to prove we're capable of more than just defending our own turf. We need to take the fight to them, hit something that really matters." Vasquez hesitated. "That's risky. One wrong move, and we could end up provoking a full-scale counterattack. What are you thinking?" She brought up a map of council-controlled space and pointed to a glowing star system marked as the Velar Hub. This is their primary communications relay. It's the heart of their network. Every order, every fleet movement, every supply request passes through it. If we take it out, we'll blind them. Hayes grinned, liking the sound of it. It'll throw them into chaos. They'll be paralyzed, unable to coordinate a response. But it's heavily fortified. We'd need help. Evelyn nodded. That's where the alliance comes in. If we organize the rebel factions into a coordinated strike, we might have a chance. We need to call a summit. Somewhere neutral, somewhere defensible. Vasquez chimed in. How about Titan? The Council hasn't mapped the outer colonies well, and it's remote enough to stay under their radar. Good idea, Evelyn agreed. Send encrypted invitations to every faction leader who's made contact. We'll organize our first summit and lay out the plan. As preparations got underway, there was an unexpected transmission, a message from the Council itself. Evelyn hesitated but ordered it played, and once again, Ver's face appeared on the screen. This time, however, he looked different, haggard, almost desperate. President Clark, he began, his voice low and unsteady. I commend your spirit, but your defiance has triggered unimaginable consequences. You must stop this rebellion before it spreads further. The High Council is furious. They're preparing to deploy the Exterminatus protocol. Evelyn's heart sank, and Hayes shot her a grim look. Exterminatus? What the hell is that? Ver glanced over his shoulder as if fearful of being overheard. It is the Council's final solution for uncontrollable uprisings, a weapon that wipes out entire biospheres. They would rather eradicate a rebellious planet than risk contagion. Earth will be their primary target. Evelyn's blood ran cold. Why are you telling us this? You wanted us crushed from the start. Ver's face twisted in a mixture of anger and regret. Your actions have destabilized the entire galaxy. If Earth falls, the uprisings will collapse, and my influence within the Council will be restored. But the protocol, it's madness. Billions will die. I never wanted annihilation, just submission. I am offering you a chance to negotiate before it's too late. Evelyn took a deep breath, forcing herself to think clearly. And what do you expect in return? Our unconditional surrender. Ver's eyes narrowed. End the rebellion. Publicly denounce the uprisings and reaffirm your loyalty. The Council might be persuaded to show mercy.